And we're back. Hello, welcome everyone to Reedsy Live. It's now June where I am, and I trust it's June wherever you are as well. I'm Martin from the Reedsy team here in London, and we're a company that connects authors and writers everywhere with the best publishing talent in the world. So whether you're looking for a publisher, no, not publisher, whether you're looking for an editor or a book designer or a marketer or a ghostwriter, you can find them all here at Reedsy. And this is Reedsy Live, our ongoing series of webinars where we bring on some of those professionals to show you how to write and publish better books. Today, after about a 6-month hiatus, we see the return of First Line Frenzy. That's editor Rebecca Heyman's ongoing series of her own, where she reviews the first lines of stories submitted by folks just like yourself. And over the course of the next hour, we're going to pluck some of these first lines that we've submitted. If you're just turning up to this cold, we sent out an email last week asking folks to submit a first line for their story. You'll find a link just below in the description. However, don't rush to it because submissions are now closed. I've selected a short list of, I want to say about 70-ish first lines that we may cover. We're not going to actually get to all of those, but those are 70 I'm going to pick from, depending on the sort of type of thing we're looking for. Of course, we're not going to limit ourselves to any sort of genre or sort of style of writing. We're just looking to get a representative selection of first lines, first sentences of stories, just so Becca can show you through how she might approach looking at a first line, looking at an opening line, an impactful sentence from her perspective as an editor. So, that's a little bit of housekeeping. If you've just joined again, oh my god, I'm just seeing there. We've got 334 people joined us already. We've got 54 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down already. So I hope that's a mistake, because I don't think I've said anything objectionable so far. However, please feel free to give this a thumbs up if you enjoy this kind of content and want to have more of it. Give us a thumbs up so we know, and we'll try to get Becca on more. Insufficient thumbs up, and like in some sort of British pantomime show, she'll refuse to come out, and then we'll have to clap and make her come on. Anyhow, really appreciate everyone joining. Thanks for dropping your sort of hellos in the comments. I see a good selection of folks from everywhere. Fantastic. All the way from Colorado to Newcastle upon Tyne, and I'm sure much further east as well. Oh, Mr. Luigi from Spain, welcome. I'm noticing it is now 7 o'clock here in the UK, which means it's about 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. I think about almost half past midnight in India, so let's not mess around. Let's bring Becca on and get this thing started. Becca, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. As you mentioned before, it's very rare that I'm able to do these webinars with some sunlight still out. So, how are things in Boston? Is it sweltering?
Yeah, today it's I think like 80, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's pretty hot here. In Boston we get like, 9 months of winter and then about 2.5 weeks of lovely spring, and then it's sweltering until August, and then in September it will like abruptly become fall for another 3 weeks until we're back to winter again. So I'm sure that math totally checks out. But for now it's really sunny and gorgeous, and you can see behind me that it's not snow, people, it's a fence out the back windows. So,
It's the
just
danger of
all good.
having the windows behind you. You're sort of seeing this as well, just like
I
pure white
know.
light coming in from mine. Haven't quite
It's
figured it.
it's lovely. I know that it's probably like I'm breaking a lot of like camera rules having all the light behind me, but there's also light like in front of me. There's light. It's a 3-season room. So, and those peonies behind me just came from our front garden, as I was mentioning before we went live, and it's just like a nice time to be up here.
Yeah, I've got the tulips out. So now that
We
we've
like that.
all now that we all got our flower chat out of the way, uh,
Also, I have to confess, Martin, the thumbs down was me. No, I'm just joking. It was not me. Um, but thanks to everybody for being here. I just sometimes I forget to say that, so I've
but
said it.
can you tell us what we can expect from this, and yeah, how we can sort of best enjoy this session?
Yeah, so First Line Frenzy is an ongoing community learning project. I think we're in our like 6th or 7th year at this point, and I say we, but it's really just me. So um, you guys have sent in your first lines. We are looking for character and voice and some conflict, maybe even a little bit of setting, all in the first line. That's a lot to get in there. We call that prime real estate. We want to capture our readers' attention right from the get-go. Of course, there are limits to looking at only one line, and usually someone helpfully points this out in the comments underneath these replay videos, that, what could we possibly know about writing or a whole story from one line? And I think what has surprised me year after year is the answer is a lot. So we're just trying to learn something together about how to write an intriguing line. And sometimes that has to do with grammar, and sometimes it has to do with style, and sometimes it has to do with concept. But, by and large, we're just trying to see, how we can make our writing shine. And that's what I'm here to help you do.
Okay, great. Slither stuff asked about what about first paragraph, and on a different one, we tried to do paragraphs, and we spent the entire time just tooling grammar, and it was quite a tough watch.
It was intense. Is that the one with me and John, or a different one?
Was it first paragraph for you two?
No, I think we did a first paragraph at some point, but we pointedly did not look at grammar. I think we had learned from someone else's mistake.
I think yeah, it was just like a lot to sort of go through. Anywho, that's a matter of the past. Let's get on with the first one. Of course,
all right, let's go.
First sentence, and away we look for the button that lets me to do this. Oh my good word! Here we are.
Oh no, our hijinks. Okay, are we ready?
It's been months off, but here it is. Yep.
All right. I also want everybody to know that I have not seen any of these lines before, and so they're all new to me. And so the reactions that you get from me are sort of my gut reaction. So keep that in mind. Anik was far too young to know that an innocent game of dress-ups would tear apart 3 generations of her family. I love this line. Is dress-ups pluralized in the UK generally? Because in the US we would just say dress up.
I don't know, but in the UK we sometimes pluralize stuff if we want to make it seem like a bit childish and a bit fun, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very cute. Certainly it identifies this as a non-American setting right away, which is totally fine. I don't think I would change anything here. I'm looking again. An innocent game of dress-ups would tear apart 3 generations of her family. Dress-ups should probably be hyphenated. And other than that, I think this looks really, really good. Do we have a genre on this?
Yes, this is historical fiction.
Okay, that's funny because it felt really contemporary to me, but I think that's fine. I mean, I like the idea that something so innocent could have such a massive impact, and so I'm intrigued. We're passing the so what's next test. I want to know exactly how this game led to tearing apart 3 generations of the family. All good things. I want to read more. A+.
Great. Here is our next one. Oh, sorry. That was from Ash Presens, The Many Moods of Michaela. Here is our next one.
Peter's welcoming smile turned into a frown when he found a sad-faced policeman standing there answering a knock on his door. Period. We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that end punctuation. So we have this, you heard it trip me up as I was reading these 2 prepositional phrases back to back, on answering a knock on his door. That is a little awkward and a bit redundant. Answering the door is the same as answering a knock on the door. And so I would probably make that part of the sentence a bit more efficient. I think there's also a lot of facial expressions here. A smile that turns into a frown, and a sad-faced policeman. It's all a bit melodramatic. I mean, one I guess might leap to the conclusion that Peter's getting some bad news here. Sad-faced just seems a little comical, almost emoji comical, grim-looking, or stoic, or just I think sad-faced is a bit young and maybe not doesn't have the emotional impact of maybe a better, more sophisticated word. So I think even if Peter is young, and even if that's part of the tone here, the narrator isn't young. The narrator is not Peter. Someone else. Oh, there's 2 lines on the screen at one time.
My bad.
I am whelmed. But that's okay. I'm pretty much done with this line. I think it could be more sophisticated and elegantly executed.
All right, thank you for sending that in, Colin Guest / Tigerman. It happened in Barcelona under the genre romance. Okay,
Oh.
this next one's from David Wooldridge. And you, oh dear.
Make it smaller for me, please.
I'm, if I could, I'll
my
make
my old lady eyes can't see this. Okay, I'm gonna read this anyway while you try to make it bigger.
Yeah.
Deep inside a cave complex lay the outline of a young woman, motionless but breathing. Oh, heyo, there she is. Okay. Right. So, deep inside a cave complex lay the outline of a young woman. It does not require a comma between complex and lay. Usually we would put a comma after introductory phrases of 4 or more words, but that's not what this is, right? Deep inside a cave complex is not sort of an independent introductory phrase. Deep inside a cave lay the outline of a young woman, motionless but breathing. I'm intrigued by this. The outline is motionless but breathing. An outline can't breathe. A young woman can. So I guess this again is it's getting a little bit fussy, right? The outline isn't laying there. The young woman is. And so I don't think we need to reduce her to her silhouette. Deep inside a cave complex lay a young woman, motionless but breathing, is more accurate and less fussy. I think you get right to the point. So I would just bloop, get rid of the outline, unless we're coming into the cave and we are someone else, and this is from the point of view of someone else. But I don't think that's what's going on here. So I would get rid of that bit, and then you're in good shape. Good job.
So with something like this, I guess if you want to like take a cinematic look of like these distinct shapes, you would say that there is an outline that is at first motionless but then heaving to suggest that they can imply
Totally.
a woman.
Yeah, no, in the movie version of this book that hasn't been published yet, maybe that would be an accurate interior cave, the outline of a woman, but that's not what this is, right? This isn't the screenplay, it's the novel. So we just need to just swoop, no more outline.
All right, thank you, David. That's From Darkness to Retribution, mystery thriller suspense story. Here's our next one from Adam Sebastian.
Xander Bala had a list of his least favorite birthday presents. Xander sounds like a bit of a spoiled brat.
To give you an idea, this is a children's book.
Oh, okay. I'm like, Xander sounds like, a bit of a twat. Okay. I don't really have big feelings about this. I think if it's is it middle grade or is it a picture book? Do we know?
It is not stated. I would suspect it's probably on the younger side.
Yeah. I think if this is middle grade, young middle grade, this might actually be a great first line. I think this line would attract the interest of a young reader and help them think, well, gosh, what kind of birthday present does Xander not want? Thinking of my own, I have an 8-year-old reader at home and I have a 4-year-old, listener, aspiring reader at home. And I think my older reader, my 8-year-old, would be interested in this idea. So for what it is, I think it's fine. I think the name is going to trip up a young reader. If this is middle grade, that's not intended as read aloud, right? That's intended for a reader to handle on their own. I think Xander is a bit of a tough sell with an X, which is not to say it should be changed, but that is going to trip up, a reader who's not necessarily accustomed to seeing a Z sounding X at the start of words. But other than that, I think this is just fine. This is just fine for a middle grade book.
Great, thank you, Adam. That's from Xander and Marge. I wonder.
I'm getting concerned because I feel like you've picked really like good mild lines so far, and I'm worried that I'm gonna get like hit with like a ton of bricks soon. I'm just like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Look, I don't want to be judgmental. Let me cut to a shot of me as well. Actually, I can't find the buttons anymore. Of course, we're trying our best not to be judgmental. However, there are things we may.
You have some surprises in store
for certain ones. So here's our next one.
Fidel Castro, notorious for his womanizing, would stop at nothing to destroy those who betrayed him or his cause. So this is nonfiction
This is also mystery thriller suspense.
about Fidel Castro.
It could be context. I'm not sure. Uh, they give you the title's called Fidel's Blessing, so I guess it's sort of maybe real world thriller.
Okay. Um. Hmm. I don't. I don't know what to say. I don't. Yeah. This is a. I don't know, man. I
Like
just don't know how I feel about Fidel Castro as like our leading man. If
like
that's what this
I
is.
don't think so. This may be another character. Although I think the reason why I brought it up is that it felt like the aside notorious for his womanizing didn't seem to be relevant to the rest of the piece.
Well, but it is if that's the thing that this person believes Fidel Castro is notorious for,
Okay.
right? Like, I think this is in some ways the least of his crimes. So,
Hmm.
like, I'm just like not entirely clear. Yeah, and like, and what? But what does the womanizing have to do with his cause? I agree with you. This is all over the place. There's without more information about what the larger context of this is, I think it's really hard to make a prediction here. But stepping back, let's pretend it's John Smith, notorious for his womanizing, would stop at nothing to destroy those who betrayed him or his cause. This is very general. It is full of facts, but no stakes or emotion. And it is a bit cliched. Would stop at nothing is quite a cliched phrase. So I would say even if this is not about the historical Fidel Castro, though, like I imagine it is, it's not a super compelling line and doesn't really make me want to keep going.
However, thank you, Clement, for sending that in. Fidel's Blessing. Let's have a look. Yeah, someone in the comments pointed out that it also does like quite sound cliche in that sort of 80s sort of Cobra Commander cartoon thing. Like, we'll stop at nothing to destroy those who betrayed him.
That was an amazing voice that you just did. You should
That's,
actually do all of your broadcasts in that voice exclusively from
that's
now on.
my Cobra
And
Commander.
yeah, I just it's just a bit it's a little tacky. So I think whatever is going on here, it can be done better.
Cool. I've got one here. Just give me half a second. This one is, I believe, from Cassandra Correa.
Okay. Cara Marie wished this amateur would stop wasting her time and seal the deal already. Okay, Cara Marie. I mean, I love a strong female character. I like a lady who knows what she wants, kind of a no BS gal, respect. I think it would be great to get more detail here. This amateur, what? Like, real estate agent? Or is it someone trying to like score a guy's number in a bar or another girl's number in a bar? Like, is it a man trying, or is it a partner of whatever gender trying to get her number? I just don't know what's going on. And so it, because this can run the gamut from a very personal to a very professional context, I would love to see some clues about what this is. Stop wasting time, seal the deal. Again, we're dealing with some pretty cliched phrases. I think there are better ways to show impatience or frustration rather than telling us about it. So instead of saying Cara Marie wished, maybe Cara watched another tedious minute tick by as specific type of person, you know, avoided asking for her number or whatever it is, right? So like I would like to see you showing us instead of telling us about her impatience and her wishing for this moment to be over. So potentially starting at the right point, but definitely it's almost like your camera is too far away from the action. I want to get right up close to Cara or Cara Marie's experience and really show us what's going on for her.
Cool. Thank you so much, Cassandra. The book is currently untitled. It's a pity. I would have loved to sort of find out a bit more context to see what sort of amateur and what sort of professional Cara Marie is. Our next one here. That was, from a fantasy novel, however.
Oh, see, from a fantasy, I would have thought it was just like a contemporary something or other, either
Hmm.
general fiction or romance, something like that. So for sure, we need a lot more context. If it is fantasy, you got to bring us into that world. Though if it's urban fantasy, I guess the world you bring us into is ours before we, whatever.
Cool. All right, here's our next one from Husam Al-Attar.
Mr. Richard Paris was quite fond of his tuxedos, but not so much of the apartment he shared with his neighbor, now roommate, Mr. Richard London. That's kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of adorable. We need a comma. We do need a comma after tuxedos, and here's why. I know some of you are thinking not much so of the apartment he shared. It's not really a complete sentence, but to avoid the confusion, Mr. Richard Paris was quite fond of his tuxedos, but not so much of the apartment he shared with his neighbor, now roommate, Mr. Richard London. Yeah, I think this is one of those moments where I'm going to say it's something of an exception to the rule. Normally, we wouldn't want a comma paired up with a conjunction unless we see a subject and verb on both sides of the conjunction. And really, an easy check for that is, does each half of the sentence on either side of the conjunction stand alone? Mr. Richard Paris was quite fond of his tuxedos, obviously, complete subject verb. Not much so. I think it's supposed to be not so much. I think that's a typo, right? Not so much of the apartment. Not so much of the apartment he shared with his neighbor, now roommate, Mr. Richard London, is not a complete sentence. However, I think because of the length of the sentence and because we want to work up to that final reveal of the mirrored names, I would throw in the extra comma. And for those of you who've been watching First Line Frenzy for a long time, you know I'm quite judicious about my comma placement. So if I say it's an exception, just like lean in, go with me on this one.
All right. Thank you. That was from Quite Fond. Husam Al-Attar, literary fiction. Yeah, I really quite liked kind of
I
how
thought
fun
this
and
is
cute it was.
adorable. Yeah, it got really cute. And I love, but also, like, not for nothing, commas aside, we're immediately getting conflict and we're immediately getting character, right? We know something about Richard Paris because he's quite fond of his tuxedos, plural, right? There's a certain kind of man that owns multiple tuxedos. And I'm not saying he's definitely a ballroom dancer, but like he's not. And so the fact that these men used to be neighbors and are now roommates means some circumstance has thrown them together, which is really interesting because they're not especially, or at least Richard Paris isn't very fond of Richard London. So I think this author is setting us up for a really juicy, fun domestic conflict. And I love that. I think this line does a ton of heavy lifting. And this is exactly what we're talking about when we say that.
Cool. Thank you. This next one comes from De Umpelman.
If you're an uptight or a prim person, you'd be wise to stop reading this instant. Well, I feel very seen. I guess my first advice is don't give readers an excuse to put down your book. Like, even if you're going for a laugh, I'm not sure that that's a great strategy ever. We don't need to reiterate the article a for a prim person. It is okay to say if you're an uptight or prim person, the understanding being that even though uptight gets an and prim gets a, there's no reason to re-articulate the article. There's just don't do that. I hate this exclamation point. I mean, I hate most exclamation points. I don't know. I wouldn't start this way.
Because I got the sense of sort of almost like they're going for almost like a Lemony Snicket type, really arch narrator of like, this is too intense for you. Although I can't imagine like most adult readers would sort of buy into it the way that maybe a younger reader who sort of quite enjoys like that sort of like goofy macabreness.
Yeah, I mean, is it adult? Do we have a?
Oh, it's
Is
general
this
fiction.
all right? So we have to assume it's adult, right?
It's
Because
adult.
it's not stated otherwise.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I am both uptight and prim. So this book's enough for me. Do you want me to put it down in the bookstore before I have a chance to buy it? Probably not. Just saying.
Well, as the author has already stated, it's not for you. But the title of the book is The Misanthropic Mind of Ray Zorn.
Maybe I'm just bitter because it's not for me. Maybe I'm just sad to be on the outside of this trust circle. But
Maybe if you picked up a book and it's like, are you a literary professional living in the Massachusetts area who loves cats? Continue reading. Oh my god, this book is for me for sure.
I would just like sweep them all into my cart for sure, just all
Uh,
at once.
uh, thank you, Dion Pullman, for sending that one in. This one's from Louis or Louis Tong. Let's make sure it's big enough.
My world changed within a day, not with a bang, but a butt-numbing 12-hour flight from Singapore to London. That was a wild ride. Okay, so my world changed within a day, not with a bang, but a butt. So obviously, this author is calling on a lot of sort of familiar phrasing, but then trying to twist it a little bit by putting different pieces together. So we expect not with a bang, but
Whimper.
there you go. So I don't know how that invoking that sound or the idea of like a big event relates to a 12-hour flight. Really, I'm a little confused, and I like the tone. Don't get me wrong. I think it's voicey. I like how comfortable I feel with the author, but I don't, or with the narrative voice, I should say, but it doesn't totally scan. It's one of these lines that I think at first blush seems sort of pithy and cool, but then when you interrogate it a little further, it falls apart. I don't know what this means. My world changed within a day. Is that supposed to be like you went from Singapore to London and culturally it changed a lot? Or is it that something happened? I mean, if you're on a plane for 12 hours, what can happen to change your whole world? You're just suspended in the air.
Because that's half of
I don't know how to read this.
That's half of what I get. Is that, did something happen on the flight rather than the culture shock of going from one, or if there's someone else waiting for you there. Someone said it was Mr. London.
Yes, Richard. This is Richard's version of this is Richard's half of Richard Paris's half of this narrative. Yeah, I don't. This doesn't light my fire. I don't care a lot, and I think that's disappointing because there's a cool like voicey, fun tone to this, but it just hasn't done enough work to capture my interest. It's kind of like a store that I would maybe see something in the window, but it's not enticing enough to walk in and see how much it costs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have another one. Thank you, Lou, for sending that one in. Give me a second to refresh this one. This one, I'll tell you now, is nonfiction.
Okay. I've held a beating heart in my hand. Yeah, I'm in for this memoir. Or if I'm not, I will buy it for my dad, who's a retired doctor, and my father-in-law, who's also a retired doctor. So, yeah, this sounds great. I hope it worked out okay.
Is this one of these actually, like, you're saying, if you're prim and proper, this is not for you. It's like, if you're a cardiothoracic surgeon, this is for you, for sure. This is relatable stuff for, like, heart doctors.
Well, but it's also a really soft open, right? Like, it's not like, I sliced through the anatomical name for body part to the heart and jug it out. And like, it's not gory. It's actually in many ways very sweet. Look, I think you could do more with it. Maybe instead of saying I've held a beating heart in my hand, a more narrative approach might be to say most people don't realize that a beating heart is no bigger than a baby bird held in your palm or something like that. I think it could be more beautiful. I think it could be less of a fact cake, but often with memoirs, we see these kinds of first lines and they're not really focused on the art. They're just focused on the message. So if it's narrative nonfiction, I think it's probably serviceable. It's not necessarily lyrical, but if that's not the purpose of the memoir, then I can't fault them for not taking a more lyrical approach.
Yeah, I think this is
not how I would do it.
It's probably a bit of a sort of self-helpy type memoir. Glenn Walton, MD, the title is The Path of Best Existence, which it feels like a sort of, things I've learned from my years in the OR, perhaps.
Maybe. I don't know a lot of OR docs who go into the self-help space, but what do I know? Honestly, truly, what do I know?
Yeah,
So
if you can run for senator these days, you could do anything. Thank you, Dr. Woolman, for sending that one in. Here's
thank you.
our next one from, I believe, Beth Cotter. Oh no,
Okay,
there's too many
there are
things.
many lines happening. End of the ninth inning, and we are down by 3, 1 out. The bases are loaded, and our batter has 2 strikes on her. Okay, well, you've chosen an exciting moment, but I don't know who we are. I don't know. I mean, we're on a baseball field, right? But like, I don't know if it's little league or the majors or college, and I don't know where the narrator is in comparison to the action. I mean, is this the like equipment manager, or is this like, what is this? And so again, I think it's a really interesting moment to begin, but I think it's the wrong access point into this moment. I would even say try to bridge the gap by making this personal. So it was the end of the ninth inning, and we're down by 3 with 1 out. The base is loaded, and instead of saying our batter has 2 strikes on her, and say when I got the call that, or when I learned that my mom died, or when I make it personal, right? Like, this is a baseball game for teams I don't know and therefore can't care about, but if you can bring me into the experience of the person who's watching the game, and then take this moment of high tension within the game and contrast it with a moment of higher tension in someone's personal life, I think that that's going to be a much more effective way to bring us into the story. Because really, anyone who doesn't care that much about baseball isn't going to really, like, I can't see what would compel a non-baseball fan to keep reading this particular line. You have to give us a character. You can't just give us circumstances or like a scene, right? This is all scene. There's no character. There's no conflict. So
Yeah, some people are pointing out that for maximum tension, there should be 2 out at this inning, because you can have up to 3 outs. So even if she
that's
strikes
true.
out, then they have one more batter behind her. From like
And
reading,
wouldn't we also, I'm not a sports ball person, but wouldn't it be bottom of the ninth?
oh, it depends who's batting first. I don't know why I know this, but it depends on who's batting first. If you're the team that bats first, you always bat at the top of the inning. If you're the team that's batting second, you're at the bottom.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say bottom of the ninth? Like, isn't that a baseball thing? Instead
Yeah,
of saying the start and the end, you would say the top and the bottom.
I know it's the 2 different teams are doing it.
Oh, so
One
if
team
you
always
batted
pitches at the
first,
top of the inning, and the other team always pitches at the bottom of the inning.
right? But then why? But then one person calls it the end and one person calls it the bottom.
One's called the top and one's called the bottom.
Right, but look at the first word of the sentence, Martin. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. End of the 9th inning. Yeah, it should be probably bottom of the 9th.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I see. I think from me reading this, it feels like they're packaging this in such a way to make a big deal of the reveal that the batter is female.
Right. Oh, you think so? I didn't read it that way at all.
I feel like this is sort of like, hey, we're in this like typical baseball situation, and look, the athlete
It's
is a woman.
lady, right?
Yeah, and I
Because
feel like
sports belong to
also because this is a romance thing, a romance novel. It almost feels like, okay, this is like introducing you
See,
to.
I didn't get that. I totally didn't. That didn't faze me because I guess I've accepted that like women's sport.
Yeah,
I think I saw an ad the other day that they're remaking A League of Our Own, which is one of those movies that like just does not need a remake. It is already perfect.
yeah, it's great. Can't see who's on first. Excellent, excellent. Who's on first, gag? Well done, Joanna. Cool. Thank you, Beth Costa. That was a 2 for 1, a romance novel. Let me see if I can get the next one in. Sent in by J. Marte or Marta. I do apologize for the slight delay on all of this.
A lot of technical difficulties today. Okay. The purple cigarette smoke punched Jean's brain, even through the plugs and bandages of a broken nose. This is very visceral. The purple cigarette smoke, huh? And it punched Jean's brain. This is like when people say, this is actually a really usually we read like the smell of whatever, smell of garbage assaulted her nose. And this author has taken it a step further to it's just punched Jean right in the brain, which like I just find really funny.
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but like totally absurd. And why is the cigarette smoke purple? Is this a fantasy or
It's a
sci-fi?
science fiction, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, so that's why. Purple cigarette smoke punched Jean's brain. I honestly just think that's ridiculous. Even through the plugs and bandages of a broken nose. I don't plugs? Do the plugs stay in the nose after it stops bleeding? That seems unwise. I don't really understand. I don't know enough about broken noses to say, but I find this punching of the brain to be like quite silly and a bit histrionic. It's like, Jean, it's cigarette smoke. Relax. You know, I don't like it either, but try to hang a little more chill, I guess, would be my advice to Jean. I think this feels a little overwritten. Yeah, this so far is not really working for me. It's that verb, man. Punched Jean's brain. I just feel like we're asking for trouble. I think I worry about the overwriting on the rest of the novel, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Cool. That's science fiction. J. Martyr to be human in Zodu. Thank you for sending that one in. Here's our next one from Maxine Jarrett. Here we go.
To eat spaghetti in space is almost as tantalizing as trying to pick up mercury with chopsticks in no man's land. Huh? I don't know that any of these words make sense in this order. Like, what is tantalizing about eating spaghetti in space? And also, what is tantalizing about picking up mercury with chopsticks? And in which no man's land? Like, what is, I don't know what any of these words mean when they are in
I
this
think
order.
it's yeah, because almost as tantalizing means it's not like it's almost as much fun as getting a bullet as a hole in the head, that sort of thing.
But, like, is that what that means? I
Yeah,
don't
it's
even
like
know.
this is no fun. Picking up mercury chopsticks in no man's land, I guess, is like being in real danger, doing something disgusting.
Oh.
Because no man's land is like like
I
in
know what no man's land is, but it's not just like a general space. Like, one doesn't, I mean, I get it that it's like a zone between two hostile forces, but
hmm.
like just doesn't, I have so many questions and none of them are what happens next. Honestly, I just like, they're like, nope. I just, this is too much. It's too much. It doesn't, it, I don't even know what's going on. It's very confusing.
I
And
mean,
I disagree that this almost as tantalizing thing. It if that is what it's supposed to say, that like it's not fun at all and not tantalizing, then make it personal. Again, instead of this like incredibly random comparison, say something like, I don't know, say something about how after, you know, 410 days in space, um, I was craving my mother's, you know, Sunday spaghetti and meatballs enough to hazard eating spaghetti in space. It's like, bring me into a moment.
yeah.
I can't identify. I don't have any way to connect with someone eating spaghetti in space, nor do I have a way to connect with someone picking up mercury with chopsticks in no man's land. Like, what even is that? Why would you be doing that? That sounds like a terrible idea. Just no.
Yeah, I think the main thing, as you say, is it is quite a confusing line to sort of have as your first one. Like, there's a lot to sort of pick through and to think about, and
Yeah.
it's a mystery, thriller, suspense, and it could be set in space. But I'm also
Yeah.
struggling. It's also called the coffee shop, so I'm struggling to sort of see. Maybe this is I don't know. I'm being sort of I'm fully speculating now that maybe they're writing a story within a story. Who knows? Anyway, thank you, Maxine, for sending that one in. Here's our next one from Olive Lynn.
I set down my pen and placed a stamp on the postcard I'd written to my children back in California. Um, Setting down your pen is boring. Don't start that way. Placing a stamp on a postcard is also boring. Writing to your children back in California is interesting because we want to know why they're not with you, but that's the only interesting part of the sentence. So I would say, I'm really interested in the contents of the postcard, and it's a postcard, not a letter. I find really interested in that as well. So I would say focus more on the contents of the postcard, or I would love to know if it's all of the things that weren't mentioned in the postcard. I love letter writing generally in books. Okay, so I think focus more on the postcard itself, and less on the mechanics and procedures of mailing something, which are not interesting to anyone.
Cool. Thank you. Olive, that was from My Tuscan Romance. Oh,
Ooh.
that reveals something.
Yes.
A romance
Okay.
novel.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Olive, for sending that one in. Here's our next one from Rusty Martin.
Have we? I think we've had a line from Rusty before.
Oh,
I
maybe.
feel like I've heard this name before. Okay. Father Philip's gnarled fingers gripped onto a soggy, swaying rope as the ship dipped from stern to aft. Okay. Well, isn't it? Can someone Google if stern and aft are opposites on a ship? Isn't it fore and aft? FORE? I'm not a boat person, so don't quote me on this. But if somebody can, I'm sure one of you is. Somebody watching has to know boats. So one of you who knows boat speak, please establish the accuracy of this juxtaposition. And while you're doing that, I will say, if the rope is soggy, I feel like we're in big trouble, right? Shouldn't
I
rope
think
not?
ropes on, from what I've gathered from watching the reality series Below Deck, soggy ropes are bad.
Soggy ropes are bad, right? Gripped onto is a bow to stern. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I think aft
And
is the rear
is
when
like
you're
a direction.
inside, and the stern is the rear when you're out, when you're on deck, from what I've seen.
Is this more information from Below Deck?
No, this is Professor Google. Yeah, so I think
We have a lot of
bow
really
to
valid
stern is what people
sources.
say.
Bow to stern. Okay, so that's important. That's going to be an important one. Soggy, swaying rope feels like a really bad thing. Gripped onto is redundant. When one grips, we are already gripping a thing like this. The onto is implied. I mean, if he gripped the rope as to keep himself upright, I don't know. Why does it? I'm a little underwhelmed by this one. I don't know. Why does it matter that his fingers are gnarled?
Does it?
I don't.
Is it intended to have quite an exciting start? Father Philip's gnarled fingers. He's an old man in a storm.
Right.
Why is he there? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't. I want him to go below deck and be safe. I don't want to know why he's out there. This does not make me want to know. This makes me think he just doesn't know a lot about boats and maybe shouldn't be out there. I just, again, this is focusing so much on the boat, the rope, the boat, the dipping, yada, yada, yada. Focus on this person. Tell us more about him than the fact that he has gnarled fingers, which I feel like is always shorthand for old. It's kind of a cliche indicator of age. So, why is he out there if the boat is all dippy? What's he doing? I don't know. I would say fast forward 5 minutes and show us what's happening in 5 minutes from this moment. Because an old man trying not to fall down is just not. It's not the compelling opening I think that we're all looking for.
Cool. Thank you. That was sent in by Tam Long. Where Lost Souls Gather. Oh no, sorry, that wasn't it. That was Rusty Martin. Judas's Daughter, historical fiction. I think maybe there feels like there's a certain influence of television shows I mentioned before, and TV and movies, where you feel like you should start in an action scene to make it exciting. Whereas maybe is it that to actually see interpersonal conflict, or to actually know a character, can be more compelling than describing a chase or a shipwreck.
Well, the thing is, the medium is the message, right? So when you start with visual, with with a visual moment as you do in a play or a movie. There's a lot of unspoken storytelling that can happen visually, but a book doesn't have the benefit of that. And a book champions the internal and external equally. That's why we write books as opposed to screenplays, right? If we want to tell a story through dialogue, we write a screenplay. If we want to tell a story through really concentrated language, maybe we write a poem. But if we want to tell a story that privileges internal and external conflict in equal measure, we write a novel. And so, you have to find the balance of all of that. Not in every sentence, obviously. Your book would be an absolute snoozer if you did all of that all the time, but certainly get to it in line one if you can, because just the visual isn't enough when we can't actually see anything except for what's in our imagination.
Cool. Thank you. Oh, someone's pointing out we're going out for an hour. We're going to finish on the hour. However, I have dropped a link to the top to our Discord. We're inviting you folks to come join us on the Discord afterwards for a discussion. Becca cannot make it because she's a real person with a family and responsibilities. But myself and a few other people from the Reedsy team will be there. If you want to, you can sort of discuss your own lines, share it with the other members and stuff. But our Discord channel is something we've just set up with the idea of being somewhere that you can go and continue the conversation and maybe find a bit of community of like-minded folks. Anyway, I'm going to push on a bit more with a few more of these, and then I'll talk about Discord at the end again. But anyhow, thank you to Rusty Martin for sending that one in. Here's our next one from Tam Long.
The jungle shrilled and whistled with the sound of cicadas and birds that minutes before had fallen silent during the crash. Ooh. Cicadas and shrilling. Cicadas don't really shrill.
They trill.
They trill. They don't shrill. So, yeah, I think that is a slightly misplaced verb. The jungle, let's say, trilled and whistled with the sounds of cicadas and birds that minutes before had fallen silent during the crash. I would maybe say that had fallen silent minutes before during the crash. That minutes before had fallen silent during the crash feels out of order. We could probably parse exactly why that is, but it would take a while. So I would recommend, we want the verb as close to the noun who does it as possible. And so it's the cicadas and birds that had fallen silent. We don't need that comma minute after silent. There you go. The magic of TV. Cicadas and birds that had fallen silent minutes before during the crash. Yeah, I think I kind of like this. It's a weird moment because instead of starting with the moment of impact, you're starting with the moment after the moment of impact. And I think that's kind of fun. I'm kind of into that. I'm a fan. So, the jungle shrilled. Let's say trilled. Let's just do them a favor and say trilled. The jungle trilled and whistled with the sounds of cicadas and birds that had fallen silent minutes before during the crash. I'm the kind of person who would, cicadas and birds that instead of cicadas and birds who. Some people preserve who for humans only. I don't mind seeing who used for any sentient beings, but that's just because I'm a hippie who thinks my cat is a person in a fur coat. So... to each his own, no judgment. I think this looks pretty good. And certainly I'm interested. I think this is very intriguing. And I think I think we all know, at least from the movies and things like that, the resumption of sound, I think is really powerful. And I like that. I think this is a really observant writer. And that gives me a lot of hope for the rest of the novel, that this is such a nicely observed moment.
Oh, no. I've done that same thing again. Sorry. Really having.
Who was this from? You have to tell us who this
was
from.
That was Tam Long from Where Lost Souls Gather, an action-adventure book.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Give me one moment to re-find this next one. This one is, I'll tell you now, it is from a memoir.
Okay,
sent in by
thank you for the
Bradley
warning.
Lilly.
Okay. Forbidden secrets of a legendary profession were revealed that night at the Hangar 13 Airport Tavern. Ooh, it's very intriguing. Um, it's it's intriguing. It's a little bit general. Maybe I'd start by like revealing one of the secrets. Like I had never known X. I don't know. I guess I would just go ahead and reveal the secret. It's like this feels like back cover copy instead of the first line. So like if we're there, if we're in Hangar 13 Airport Tavern, let us be there. I don't want you to open with dialogue, but I want you to open with something like I was struck silent with shock at the revelation that the rabbit didn't actually appear from thin air in the hat or whatever. You know what I mean? Like reveal the secret. I never thought like I don't know, just like name the disillusionment or name the revelation with a lot of specificity, and I think that you'll do more to draw people into this story. But
Well,
it's interesting.
people have been asking what profession, and I could tell you now, it's a memoir called The Bravest, A Fireman's Tale.
Okay. But what's forbidden? What is a forbidden secret? There's a lot of these generalities, right? Like forbidden secret, legendary profession. I just also we're revealed as kind of lame-o passive construction. So we want to activate those constructions as much as we can.
Yeah, it feels you're right. It's like, that night at Hangar 13 Airport Tavern, you know, and then revealing a specific secret sounds like a fun start. Otherwise,
Yeah,
right now,
right,
it's like,
exactly.
right now, forbidden secret sounds like, oh my god, did they kill a man?
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I think it's also like making a promise that it likely will not be able to fulfill.
Cool. Thank you, Bradley, for sending that one in. Sounds good. This next one's from Suleng Torosian. Here it is.
The movers cracked Eddie's haunted bed into two pieces. The movers cracked Eddie's haunted bed in two. Full stop. You got me. I want to read it. I mean, moving right along, right? I mean,
Yeah.
into two pieces is super redundant. Like they didn't crack it. They didn't crack it into two hamburgers. Like we don't. What else would it be cracked into, right? So, the movers cracked Eddie's haunted bed in two. I love it. Or even like the movers cracked Eddie's haunted bed straight down the middle, or whatever it is. But like, keep it snappy because this doesn't. It's such a powerful image, the haunted bed, that it doesn't really require anything else. So don't oversell it. Just let your image speak, and it does.
Great, that's good. Thank you. That's from The Right Haunted Bed, general fiction, as it's been labelled. We're going to try breeze through a few more of these. Here's our next one from Kirsten Bolton.
On the bow of a BC ferry, she stands stoic, with an unbroken gaze as the ferry lurches more than glides through dark winter waters. On a dark and stormy night. This is I mentioned the dark and stormy night because it's the prime example of purple prose, which is overwritten prose that is so concerned with description that it fails to say something precise. To reduce this to its most component parts, a woman stands on the boat looking at something. That is not especially interesting. Then we pivot to the exact nature of the movement of the ferry, which is also not interesting. So if you tell me that she, who needs a name, stands on the bow of a BC ferry, watching everything she'd built for the last 18 years fade to the size of a pinprick across the dark winter waters, then you have my attention. But like, woman stands, woman looks, boat boats. Like, these are not things that like are going to really pull me in. So make it personal, make it specific, and then we'll talk.
Cool. Thank you, Kirsten. That was from Float, a romance story. Next one here comes from Shirley O'Brien Smith.
Florence Helen Botza was rich, the richest girl on earth. Again, I just think, like, why overcomplicate this? Florence Helen Botza was the richest girl on earth. It's a fact cake either way, but there's just no reason to like reiterate the rich and was rich and the richest girl. Um, is this YA or adult?
This is historical fiction, it says.
Okay. Uh, I would love to know how old Florence is. You know my feelings about girl versus woman. Um,
I,
Girls are a specific age, and women are a specific age, and a girl can't really be independently wealthy because the wealth would belong to her parent or guardian, I guess. I mean, I suppose there are certain conditions, but like historically, if this is historical fiction, there haven't been like many places or times in history when girls could amass wealth. And so I have a lot of questions about this right away.
I think
Like
the
straight off
title
the bat.
is Porcelain Doll, and I get the sort of feeling I don't know that is specifically like a Richie Rich type situation.
Or is she rich in dolls?
Yeah,
Like, what's the
isn't
deal?
that the true sign of wealth?
I know it is for me. Um, you know, yeah, I just like this stops me because of the semantics. And
Hmm.
so instead of repeating rich and richest, I would love to see something more specific. Like if you measure wealth in dolls, Florence Helen Botza was the richest girl on earth. Now I'm interested,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or
Cool.
like Florence Helen Boza was the richest girl on earth. She just didn't know it yet. Maybe there's like, maybe one of her favorite dolls is filled with diamonds. I have no idea. But like bring in the intrigue instead of just being like she was rich. No, the richest. Like that, it's a big
Yeah.
nothing burger. So don't do
Someone's asking, please pick better lines. Well, I'm picking only the
that.
lines that were sort of being sent in. I think a bunch of these are actually quite good, but the point of
We've
this
had
is that
some
we're
really
supposed to be
good
learning.
lines. And also, like, this is a very subjective thing to say, right? Because, like, what are better lines? Like, when we pick lines that I'm just like, this is great, this is great, this is great, people are like, we didn't learn anything from that. And then when we pick lines that are really sort of like falling apart at the seams, people are like, this isn't good enough to learn from. So it's not an easy thing to sift through 2,000 first lines and pick ones that are going to help illustrate various principles. So go easy on Martin.
All right. Here's one from. This one is a memoir from Nicoline Lundberg Griffith.
Mm. I became an accessory to murder for the first time on a Monday morning at 5 a.m. when my newest real estate buyer, Missy Ann, jarred me awake with an early morning, still dark out early phone call. Get rid of that parenthetical phrase. It is so pointless. We've already told us it's 5 a.m., and then you tell us it's early morning, and then you tell us it's still dark out early. We know it's 5 a.m. What are we doing here? Um, I love the beginning of this. It's too long and it goes on more than it has to. I became an accessory to murder for the first time on a Monday morning at 5 a.m. Is your first line. The end. Erase the rest. No one.
Yeah.
And also, it's waking up in line one. So the fact that I'm forgiving you for that is a gift. You're welcome. Don't be waking up in the first line. I don't even care if it's for the phone call that makes you an accessory to murder. It's still boring as toast. So just open with becoming an accessory to murder and then worry about the phone ringing and the waking up and all that other stuff later. Preferably just get past it because we don't care about you waking up. Right
Cool.
past.
We have a comment here. A few people have brought up the idea that we need to see the cover image and title and art for context before we can.
No, we don't. There isn't a cover and title. Sorry, this irritates me. There. A lot of these are in manuscript form. Why would they have covers and they don't have covers? There's no. This isn't. And also, that's not the point of the project. You're not looking at the cover when you are reading a book. You've already opened the cover, and now you're just looking at the words. And Martin gives us the titles after.
Yeah.
And
Cool. I'm going to do just a small handful more.
okay.
Just wait. I'm trying to find. Oh, the pressure is on right here at the end because I'm trying to find a
Well,
couple
now
of
that you know that they're
interesting
not
ones.
happy with your choices,
Now
I
they just want
mean,
to see the good ones. I'll tell you one thing though. Every time we do one of these, there are certain trends we sort of find. At the beginning, there's always the ones where people wake up. Like we start with that one. For a while, it was The first sentence at the end, it was revealed the protagonist is dead. That's quite common. This time, actually, I'm not sure because we're coming out of the pandemic, but there are a lot of ones that are actually on a plane. People flying out on a plane, people landing.
Little
People. I think
wanderlust now that we've all been allowed to
I think we've just been
to
stuck indoors for so long that we just like really long to have. We just really want to write about being on a plane. Here's our
just really
next
want to
one
go.
from Lee J. Lowndes.
The barren tree's shadow ticked closer to the baker's house. It was almost time. This is two sentences. That M dash is not appropriate. The barren tree's shadow ticked closer to the baker's house. I mean, the shadow moves because the sun moves. So, like, it's not. I don't care. I don't care about the shadow. I care about who's watching it. I care about who's keeping track. So this in many ways just lacks a subject that we can connect to. So I love that it's almost time for something. I love that someone's watching this shadow of a barren tree. But I don't know what to do about all of this. I think we need to know who's watching the tree. So give me a person, give me a character that I can connect to, please. Otherwise, I'm going to have a hard time getting invested.
Cool, thank you. Someone asking, as mentioning that they kind of want us to go faster. Yeah, I don't want this to turn into like a really defending ourselves session, but we had 2010.
A lot of complaints today, guys. Like a lot of complaints.
If we doubled our pace, your chances of getting yours read is exactly the same still. Sadly,
and like also. But like more than that, I'm not here to rush, my friends. Like I'm not here to like, this is not like a navel gazing moment for you to just wait until your line comes up. It's a moment to learn from your community of writers. And so we're not going to go faster. There's also like an entire cache of videos, of First Line Frenzy videos that you can go ahead and deep dive on the Reedsy channel. And I started a First Line Frenzy channel just for the IG Live First Line Frenzies that I've been doing over on Instagram. So if you want more content, the content's out there. We're not going to rush through it because that's disrespectful to the work that actually gets put up on the screen. No more complaints today. Like I don't know. I don't want to hear any more complaints. We're also both donating our time to this excellent cause. So 0% interested in anybody's back talk. The leaves were mere buds on the trees when he arrived at the house of the woman he was not going to marry. I love this line. This is so strange to look at something as seasonal as buds on trees, in comparison to something as like specific and timely as the woman as a marriage, as getting married. I don't know. There's just something about the way time is being treated in this sentence that I really quite like. I find it very charming and a little strange, and I'm very interested.
Cool. That one is Colleen Sue Craft, a historical fiction, Strange Bedfellows. Always a good title.
Ooh, that's a great title. Yeah, this is that. I really like that line.
Okay, I'm just going to do one more, and then we'll sort of wrap up for the day. But if yours didn't get picked up, thank you for sticking around nonetheless. Here is one from Peter Sherwood.
The first word Edgar ever learned was mine. Huh. Is this adult?
Literary fiction.
I think this is okay. I think it's a little heavy-handed. The first word, because the first word is already the first word ever. So maybe Edgar's first word was mine. It might even just be more effective. Because that doesn't even mean though that implies it's the first word he spoke, not the first word he learned. I don't know. I still kind of like it that way. Edgar's first word was mine. I think that is more effective for what this is, even if it indulges a little bit of whimsy. Yeah. Because like babies can't actually make those, like they can't make that shape with their little mouths yet. So like it's definitely not typical. It would be like a very non-traditional first word, but I'm into it. So I kind of think that's quite charming.
Cool. All right. I think that is potentially the end of that. Give me a second as I load back my. Oh gosh.
How many did we do today?
We got through 25, which I don't think is.
That's a lot.
I think that's a healthy number of these that we went through. Uh,
People are never satisfied. I'm like, I'm sorry, not sorry. Like, we just are not superhuman. I don't know what to say.
Here we are, and here I am, webcam utility 6. I guess I have to
Looking
switch back
great.
to my HD cam. Hey,
Ah,
great, thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thanks for having me as always. And thank you to everybody who is here and who submitted their lines. We appreciate it.
Before Becca wraps up, I want to let you know we have our Discord channel going. If you don't know what Discord is, you're not alone. I had to learn about it this week for work, but it's sort of like Slack in the sense that you go there, it's a good forum, a bunch of folks from Reedsy will be there, and it's a good place to keep the chat going if you like. The invite is pinned to the top of the chat here and is also in the video description. So yeah, come and join us. Ask any questions. There'll be a bunch of folks from Reedsy there, and feel free to share your first lines in the section that's about webinar discussion. Yeah, and you can talk about each other's first lines. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Becca, yourself as well. Is there anything you want to share? Any sort of thing? You of course are an editor here on Reedsy.
Editor Reedsy, all of my like wish list wants and the kind of projects I like to work on can be found on my Reedsy profile. And I post a ton of First Line Frenzy content on my Instagram, and my handle there is Becca Faith Heyman. That's Heyman. So you can always come find me over there and say hi. And I have a separate form for First Line Frenzy that I pull from. That's not the form you filled out for this broadcast, but you should go fill it out. You have a pretty good chance of seeing your line over there, because I do post. I haven't been posting daily for the last couple of weeks, but I usually post many times per week with line critiques. So you can go head over there and check it out.
Cool. Well, folks, thank you so much. As I said, do head over to Discord and head over to blog.reedsy.com/live. We've got a bunch of great things popping up in the next month or two, including Shaylin's return. She's going to do a bit of a workshop on character writing. Fantastic. Avion says she missed seeing Primrose ever kissing, but we'll have to bring her out next time.
I missed her too. I think she's taking her third afternoon nap, which like obviously is super important and can't be interrupted. So
yeah, for those who are new, that is Becca's cat. Anyway,
very flippy.
Do remember to give us a like and maybe subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. See you all next time, and I'll see you on Discord if you're there. Bye.